Hey guys, Hexspeed here. I'm gonna give you guys a little update for those of you who are here for my RC content, which kind of comes sporadically. But I thought I'd give you guys a little tour of the shop and talk about some of the projects that I'm gonna be working on soon. I'm gonna try and do more content just to give you guys an idea of what's going on in here and kind of keep me motivated to keep working on stuff. So I'll turn the camera around and we'll take a little cruise around the garage. So here's what's on the table right now, Freewing F14. This is probably one of my favorite Freewing models. This is my second one. I had one a few years ago and I flew it a ton. I loved it. A great airplane. I flew it a lot. I flew it off and off of dirt, asphalt, whatever. And I flew the heck out of it. 150 or so flights is probably about what I put on that airplane. But I traded it to get this model back, which is a jet hanger Kafir that I built 7-8 years ago. I sold this when I needed some money, unfortunately, and it traded hands a few times, and I was able to trade for it to get it back, and right now it's under a state of restoration. It wasn't in too bad a shape when I got it back, but it needed some work, so it's kind of in the mod period right now. I haven't touched it in a while. I need to really get back to it. But so yeah, I've got a lot of body filler and primer on it and whatnot. Just need to really finish up the last few things and paint it and put everything back in it. Speaking of putting things back in this model, I might be putting this in there. And for those of you who are wondering, what the heck is this thing? Well, back in the old days, when I was a kid, this is what guys flew that flew jets. They used these ducted fans that are powered by nitro-powered glow motors. This is a KMB 82. It's a pretty big motor. They run these big tuned pipes, and they make pretty cool sounds. They rev, I don't know, 23,000 RPM, which for a piston engine, that's a lot. These are basically race motors. Very high output nitro motors, and this is a Ramtech fan, which is a fan from Australia, and it's cut down to fit in a Turbax shroud, which is slightly smaller than the original Ramtech. The Ramtech is sized about like a Dynamax, so it's cut down. So this, I grew up around this stuff. My dad started doing glow ducted fan stuff way back in the early 80s, and I grew up around it. RC Geek Chris Wolf. My dad actually worked for Chris Wolf's dad for a little bit, and we spent a lot of time in his dad's shop, Jet Hanger Hobbies, back in the 80s and 90s. And this is what everyone did. Everyone flew these. And if you wanted to fly a jet, you had to build one. And so it's kind of a different era back then. I mean, you couldn't just go pull something out of the box like this. It was totally unheard of. So that's kind of how I grew up. I grew up around that kind of thing, you know, where guys built their own stuff. And these glow motors are challenging, but I think they're really cool. So that might be going into my Kafir. It had a Tamjets 110, which is a cut down Dynamax in it, and it flew awesome. It might go back in it. We'll see how this thing runs after I fire it up. But anyways, yeah, so the F14 is next on the list for slapping it together, and I'm going to do a few mods to it, probably do a nice cockpit. I've got some Jet Hanger Hobbies pilots for it. And I've also got the RC Geek center burners for the fans. And these are the fans I'm going to be running. This is the Freewing 80mm. I got two of them. This is the old one out of my A4. And I got another one, just bought one recently used. This one just needs to be cleaned up a little bit. Still runs fine. But these are a little bit better than the original fans for the F14. It flew good with the old stock fans in it, but it could use a little more power. So these put out a little bit more thrust. They also use a little more amps, but I'm looking forward to flying this thing. So she's on the bench, and I'm going to probably refinish it and do a low-vis paint scheme like my F18, which I recently posted a video of on this channel. And you're wondering, what the heck? That's an F18 tail, isn't it? Well, it sure is. That's my F18's tail. And there's the rest of it up there on the stack. Unfortunately, the F-18 crashed a couple weeks ago. I think it might be a servo issue, but I'm not sure yet. I sent all the servos into Motion RC so they could take a look at them and figure out if one of them went bad or not. So we're still working on that. But yeah, so I'm excited to get this going. You're also wondering what the heck's all this stuff here. Well, I bought this little P-51 at the AMA show. I'll tell you what, this is a pretty little kit, and it's super lightweight. It's a 38-inch wingspan, and it's geez, I can't even think of the name of the company. It's a Chinese company, but I paid for $50 for this thing. The whole airframe weighs 6.5 ounces, and it's really nicely done. The decals are really nice, and like I said, super lightweight, nice little balsa model, 38 inches. So I was originally gonna put this. I bought it because I have this little 25, little OS 25 FP, little kind of a low output motor, but they're great little motors. And then I got the airplane home, and I'm like, man, this motor's way too big. This is the cowl right here. Real nice fiberglass cowl. I mean, it's a great little model, $50. I couldn't say no. So my friend Justin picked this up for me at the swap meet at the AMA show. It's a OS 15 FP, which is just a smaller version of this motor. And it runs pretty good, but it's a little low on compression. So I don't know. Part of me wants to just stick the 25 in it and hope the wings don't fold. But so I do a lot of glow stuff as well as electrics. And as you can see by my wall over here, I love UMX models, even though it's windy here a lot. I don't get to fly them very often. So this is my scratch built Skyray. Has a Jetfan 80 in it. This was featured on the RC Geek channel. There's a video on there. Go check out the RC Geeks webpage. He's got a lot of great content and a lot of really cool videos. And maybe I'll put the link to the video of this airplane in the description. And then we have a number of airplanes right here on the wall. 3 of these were built by my friend John Morgan. He lives back east. An incredibly talented builder. He built this one a long time ago. I don't remember what year this thing was built. Probably 2008, 2007 maybe. It's a pusher powered. Little Screamer's Super Park Jet on the back there. It's got some damage. It hasn't flown in a while. It got kind of mid-aired while I was flying on a slope by another glider. So it's a little hammered, but awesome flyer, flat plate wing. John just does beautiful stuff. He also built this Tiger Cat. It's built about the same time frame, maybe in 06 or 07. I kind of refinished it. I repainted it and everything, and it was still the same airframe that he built. And he also built this Bearcat. This is a bungee launch. One of these days I'm going to get this cleaned up and flying again, because it's a really cool model. Great flyer, and I love Bearcats. I love everything Grumman, actually. This is my Park Zone Wildcat that my friend John gave to me. My other friend John, not John Morgan. And I did a little repaint. Open up the cockpit on it. It's kind of a neat looking little model. It flies awesome. And we do a big formation flight of these every year at the event we all go to. So, some battery stash. This is a rack of airplanes. Most of them have not flown or have never flown. Just some different projects. This is actually a really cool model back here. So this is a Wanderer glider that I got from Tony Accurso probably 5 years ago. It's a great little flyer, but I built a little fan pod for it. And this is a 40mm fan. And it's awesome. I didn't want to have a big ugly pod on top, so I thought, well, I'll try that, see if it flies. I'll tell you what, that little 40mm flies that glider great. I'd take it out every now and then and fly it. And I got an Osprey, which unfortunately crashed, and I'm in the process of fixing it. It's a Jet Hanger Cougar. My second one. One of these days I'll get around to building that. This is a Jet Hanger Skyhawk, but not one that they ever sold. So this is a prototype. It's 100% scale. Molds were done off of a wind tunnel model, and it's another model that I've started a long time ago, and just really need to get back to. And of course, there's my F-18 all busted up. And I got one of these little fellers I got to fix up too. I got from a friend. And the old Hobby People U-2. It's taken apart right now. It's also a really fun airplane. I love that. That U-2 is a great flyer. This is a big Corsair. This is a Byron Corsair. I've started working on it a little bit. I bought this, I don't know, probably 5 years ago. Everyone knows me, knows I love Corsairs. And this is kind of a dream model for me. As a kid, I always wanted one of these really bad, growing up in the 90s. And I found this one. It never flew. It was a display model. Picked it up for a couple $100, but it needs a ton of work. The wings, the outer wing panels are garbage. Tails are junk. Obviously, the fuselage needs to be put back together. It was never built very well. It broke in half as soon as I pressed on the fuselage. So, and here's another. And I got a radial for that. Actually, I got a Evolution 77 with a gas conversion. It's a great running little motor. So I bought this for my Corsair, and one of these dang days I'm going to get around to building this thing. Someday. One day, someday. If I could keep getting distracted, keep myself from getting distracted by stuff like that, and that, and that, and that, and that, I could probably finish it. So this is a Hobby King Cougar that I started modifying and promptly stopped working on a long time ago. From my understanding, these are great flying models, not very scale, so I started doing some changes. Started changing the inlet to be more scale. I got the wings modified to be more scale. It comes with a plastic hatch, so I made a mold, and I made a fiberglass one, and then I made a plug for a new canopy, which I haven't done anything with yet. So if you're like me, you got a lot of different projects, and eventually they'll all get finished. Just don't know when. And that's actually the power system out of the Kafir, the Janger Kafir. Let's see what else we got in here. So this MiG-15 was also built by John Morgan. It's a pusher, or it was. I'm planning on putting a EDF in it. It's a neat model, beautiful detail. I already cut the back of it off where the pusher went, so I got to put a fan in it and maybe put some retracts in it. It's a bungee launcher belly lander deal. John likes those a lot, so that was also built quite a few years ago. This is my Great Plains Corsair, which is featured on my friend Just Wing It's channel. It's a Great Plains kit. Another airplane that I always wanted as a kid. I built this about a year ago. It's all balsa, and I put retracts in it. These are actually Freewing A4 retracts and Freewing struts. They kind of stick out, but because it's a kink wing, that doesn't give you much room for anything. So it looks better than a fixed gear, and that's what I was going for. It's just a sport scale flyer. A great little airplane. I have a blast flying it. I got a really old OS 61 four-stroke that I bought off of RC Groups. Had to put new bearings in it and stuff. The bearings were garbage. So me and my friends, I have these on separate radios, this Zero and this Corsair, and we dogfight and fly formation. This is a Great Plains Zero ARF. This is my second one. First one I ran into a power line like an idiot. This is powered by a little Sato 50. Great little motor. Satos make neat little engines. They sound great. They run like sewing machines. And this is a really fun flying airplane. Super lightweight. Track's awesome. I put retracts in it because they come with fixed gear, and I'm not about warbirds with fixed gear. So we have a lot of fun with these two airplanes. And I grew up flying 40 size models, so it's kind of a throwback for me. This is my Air Sally F20. This is a 70 millimeter. Hasn't flown in a while, but it's full composite. It's got Kevlar hinging on the flight controls. These are SAPAC retracts, SAPAC struts and wheels and tires. SAPAC is no longer in business, unfortunately, but they made some really cool smaller EDFs back in the, 5-10 years ago, back when smaller EDFs were really the hot thing. So this is a 70 millimeter. It's got a 12 blade fan in it with a Tamjets collet and a pretty hot motor. This is also on the RC Geek YouTube channel. If you want to check out a video of it flying. Great flyer, really fast, and very, very hard to see in this camouflage scheme. This is an F5 aggressor scheme, actually. F20 is one of my favorite jets, and so this I fly it maybe once a year, twice a year. Just take it out and blow the dust off of it. And it's pretty fast, does about 140. Awesome performance. And my dad actually makes these kits. He did all the molds and plugs and everything, and it's a great little flyer. Over here we have one of my prized babies. This is a Hangar 9 giant scale P-51. Beautiful flying airplane. I got a DLE 55 in it. Side exhaust, not a RA. Weighs about 27.5 pounds dry. And I changed up the paint scheme on it. This is now Charlotte's Chariot. There's a restored P-51 with this paint scheme on it. That's why it's got the end number on the tail. I also added the radiator exit. There was a lot of heat in the fuselage from the engine because there's, like you can see, there's not a lot of room, or not a lot of, it's a pretty tight cowl. And Mustangs have always had issues with cooling and whatnot, especially with scale scoops. So this is my cooling setup. Anyways, I was getting a lot of heat in the fuselage, so I did the exit. It also has pneumatic retracts in it. I had a Top Flight Mustang, and I ripped the gear out of it when it ground looped once. So I sold the airframe to a friend, pulled everything out. And because I'm always doing stuff on the cheap, I used the Robart pneumatic retracts instead of having to pay $600 or whatever they are for the E-Flite brand electric retracts. And I hate electric retracts. That's one of the reasons why I put pneumatics in it. But yeah, I got the doors on and everything. I'm gonna fly it tomorrow, actually. This is also on the RC Geeks channel. You can check it out on his YouTube channel. He can film a lot better than I can. Otherwise, I would take video, but there's no point because his is much better than mine would ever be. So yeah, awesome flyer. If you're on the fence of getting one of these, don't wait because they'll probably discontinue them at some point. So it's a beautiful model. It's one of the more scale ARFs out there as far as outline goes. Yeah, I just love flying it. It's a great model. Now that I've got it dialed in, it's a real keeper. This model, which I'm also taking out tomorrow, also on the RC Geeks YouTube channel if you want to check out a video of it flying. This is a Yellow Aircraft Zero, built from a kit. It's not an ARF. Beautiful flying model. This thing, it almost flies like a jet. It just tracks on rails. It's really heavy. It's only about an 80-inch wingspan, so it's not giant scale technically. But this was built by a friend of mine, Stephen Lucy. He did a beautiful job on it. I bought it from him. It needed some repair work on the landing gear. Got the gear and the wing all fixed up, and then I kind of sort of repainted the whole thing again. Added some weathering and stuff. Changed the motor. It had a DLE 55, which is a great motor, but it was sticking out of the cowling really bad. I just don't like the way that looks. So this is a XYZ 53, which is a Hobby King engine. Great little motor though. I can't really see it right now. It's a twin. It's 53cc twin. And it's just a perfect amount of power for this, and it runs so smooth. Great flyer. Very heavy, like I said, though. It's 25 pounds dry, which for 80 inches is kind of a lot. It's got 4 pounds of lead in the nose to get it to CG. So, like I said, it's also on RC Geeks channel. Check it out. Let's see. What else we got? This is my Freewing A4. Seen better days. Decals are coming off. Hasn't flown in, geez, I don't know, year and a half. It's been a while. I pulled the guts out of it to put in my Skyray over there, my scratch built Skyray. So it's been sitting. I think I'm probably going to refinish it in a Blue Angel scheme maybe. I love this airplane though. It's a great flyer. That's why I haven't gotten rid of it. Plus I love A4s. So I'm going to do a refinish on this at some point. And here we got the big dog, the T38, scratch built. It's 12 feet, quarter scale. Actually, a little bit bigger than quarter scale. Powered by 2 Turbax fans. It's 45 pounds. Made from foam and fiberglass, carbon fiber, balsa. There's a video of this. I've actually got a couple of videos of this on my own channel. But it's also on the RC Geek. He's got a real nice video of it on there from Best in the West a couple years ago. So yeah, then we got some other stuff here. We got a little Thunder Tiger Bearcat and a FMS0. This is the E-Flite Stearman that I actually converted to glow. It's gutted right now, but I'm getting ready to put stuff back in it so I can fly it again. It's been a while. And E-Flite Pits, awesome little flyers. I love them. Friend John gave me the other one as a spare. Great little airplanes. GB, not so much. Not a very good flyer. This is the old one though. The newer one I think flies a little bit nicer. This is kind of a cool model. This is a GWS C130 that I modified with 4 E-Flite UMX brushless motors and 4-bladed props. I added flaps. Really fun model. My friend Just Wing It has a video of this on his channel. I've actually flown this indoors. It was a little sketchy, but did it. E-Flite A10, great flyer. This is my scratch built Vigilante with E-Flite F16 guts. So it's just got Taylor-ons for control and a single fan. I built 2 of these, one for me and one for my friend Chris Wolf. You can also check out a video of these flying on RC Geek on his YouTube channel. He's got a great little video of these little guys. Let's see, it's a scratch built racer. We used to do pylon races with the Scale Composite guys on Fridays. Haven't done it in a while, but I scratch built this to race. It was pretty fast, but honestly the Mustangs and Corsairs were just as fast. It's hard to make something this small much faster than anything else. They just don't have a lot of pitch speed. This is an N9M that I scratch built a number of years ago and actually flies without tails. Took me a while to get it to happen, but this one's also seen better days. I need to kind of refurbish it and put electronics back in it. Let's see, the old Stearman, which is probably one of my favorite UMXs. I did a little refinish on this Mustang, put a bigger motor in it, 2-bladed prop. This thing actually boogies pretty fast. As well as this Corsair also has the bigger Radian motor and a repitched 2-blade. Probably one of my fastest UMXs actually. That thing scoots. And it flies a little nicer than the Mustang, not gonna lie. Had this Cub forever, and this Spacewalker is a blast. This thing just cruises around. Of course, T28 was my first UMX. Still have it. And haven't flown that yet. Haven't flown the old transatlantic airplane yet. Haven't gotten there, but we will. My friend George actually gave us this little Corsair for my son. I did a quick repaint on it. This is a Dynam Corsair. Super nice flyer. Very docile. Very lightweight. And he's new to flying, and he does a great job flying it. So it's a pretty good model for someone getting into the RC thing that's transitioning from trainers to something a little bit cooler. It's a great flying model. And of course, this is our old Cadet that my friend John gave me. I threw a motor and some servos in it and refinished the fuselage, cleaned it all up, and I taught my son how to fly on this. It's got a little OS52. Great little flyer. We take this out almost every week, shoot touch and goes, and have a good time with it. So yeah, that's about oh, and my Dynam Zero that my son has, or not Zero, my Dynam GB Sportster. This thing's surprising. It man, if you're into Sportsters, this thing is really a great flyer. And my son, like I said, who just started flying, he actually does a pretty good job with this thing. It's super lightweight and docile, so definitely a fun little model. So we actually take this out about every week, and he flies it. He does a great job with it. So I got this from actually won this at a raffle. My friend Paul Stelly gave us the raffle tickets, and my son won about 5 different things. So he has a great time. I might actually repaint this like a 30s era, like Army airplane. So blue fuselage with the yellow wings. kind of giving that a toss around that idea. I might do a little repaint, just a quickie. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all my crap here. Anyways, sorry that was super long-winded, but I just wanted to start doing more content. Not this long, obviously, but maybe as I go along the build with the F14, I'll do some short videos of the process and how I'm modifying it and the things I'm changing on it, and maybe on this little P51 as well. I'm going to put retracts in it, and it's made for electric, so I think it converted to glow because glow is awesome. And anyways, so yeah, we're going to start trying to do some more videos on a more regular basis. Stuff I'm working on from the flying field, etc. So anyways, hopefully you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments, and we'll see you next time.